Hi guys, Selamat Petang.
This means good evening.
So tonight we're going to be in Malaysia. So welcome. I hope you are enjoying some good food right now.
It's carefully selected by a Malaysian person.
Yes. And it's by one of the best restaurants in the area. So Melissa, sorry that you can't be here, but next time. Right?
So as we mentioned, we're going to talk about Malaysia today, and we're going to play a game throughout the whole presentation. It's called the bullshit game. We have a few wrong facts about Malaysia. So anytime you suspect anything we'll say or is on the slides, it's not true. You just have to slam. Okay. So, Malaysia is situated in Southeast Asia, and we have already made one bullshit fact. This is Vietnam, not Malaysia. This is Malaysia. It is made out of like almost two parts because Malaysia got its independence in 1957 and was then combined of three states almost. It was Malaysia, the peninsula you can see there, Singapore, and the northern part of Borneo. But in 1965 they basically kicked Singapore out of the Union. So there has been like a bit of tension between the two states ever since. And some key facts about Malaysia: the population is over 30 million people. The capital is Kuala Lumpur, and the photo that we saw on the first slide is taken from Kuala Lumpur. It's mainly made out of Malay people, almost half of the population there, and then we have Chinese and indigenous people. The main languages is Bahasa Malaysia, Chinese, both Cantonese and Mandarin, and they also speak English. And the religion the population is made out of Muslims, Buddhists, Christians, and then other minorities. And some fun facts about Malaysia as well.
What is that?
Did you, for example, know that Malaysia has the biggest roundabout in the whole world? It is 2.2 miles in diameter or 3.5 kilometers, so it's quite big, and it's actually so big that when people drive around the roundabout, they usually don't realize that it is a roundabout. The Malaysian wildlife is one of the most diverse on Earth. They have a lot of animals that are not seen anywhere else in the world, and also flowers and plants. And this is a good example of an animal that you can find in Malaysia. In Malaysia, it is considered rude to point with your index finger. So if you ask for a direction, people will point with their fists in the right direction. They will not point like this. Also, Malaysia has the oldest head of state in the whole world. And the final fun fact about Malaysia is about the word ketchup. It is believed that the word ketchup is originated from Malaysia. It was like an old rice dish made up of some peppers that people brought over to Europe in like 1600s, and it tasted a bit like tomatoes, and the name was very similar to the word ketchup. So that's why we have the word ketchup now for tomato sauce. And you missed another bullshit fact. Malaysia does not have the oldest head of state. But all the others were true. This is the biggest roundabout in the world in Malaysia. So it is a roundabout, but like I say, when people drive in it, they don't realize it is a roundabout. I talked about the wildlife. They have one of the biggest population of king cobra snakes. You will find a lot of those in Malaysia, and also a lot of tigers there.
Is that true?
And that's true. If you don't believe it's true.
I got everything you say.
And this is the largest flower you will find in the world. It can weigh up to like 9 pounds. And the smell is horrible.
Sorry, we couldn't bring one today.
It's sometimes called the rotting corpse flower because apparently it smells like a rotting corpse.
How do we know?
Is it the one that is like that eats
No,
Bodies
it
and stuff?
That's
does
a
not.
BSMI track.
It does not eat bodies, but it is a parasite, so it lives off other trees and plants. And like the flower can only be seen a few days a year.
But you can smell it all year round, right?
And it's like it's a horrible, horrible smell.
So now we're going to talk about the economy, and it is the third largest in Southeast Asia. Followed, the first one is Thailand, and the second one is Indonesia, and then it is the 35th largest in the world, as well as it has the third richest GDP in Southeast Asia.
After Brunei and Singapore.
Also, it is the 14th most competitive in the world. And so we'll talk a little bit about services account for 53%, the industry is 36%, and agriculture is 11%. And here, so this is palm oil, which is one of the main things that is in agriculture. And their export of goods and services that accounts for 74.6% of the GDP. And this, you can actually see this is rubber, which is another one of their exports. And what they do is they slash the tree trunks, and then they have little buckets that collect the stuff, and this is how rubber is made. And this on top is cacao. And that's another thing that they produce and export.
So you mentioned there's a lot of fruits and stuff in Malaysia, and this is the king and queen of fruits. How many of you are familiar with these two fruits? Some of you. How many of you have smelled durian? Can you describe the smell?
Oh my god, it's the worst.
I'd rather not.
It has been described as like a mixture of rotting onions, however that will smell, and sewage.
People eat it?
People eat it, and people find it absolutely delicious.
It is delicious.
The other one's really good.
But it smells
It
bad.
smells bad.
But
This-
taste,
The smell is always
If
bad.
you like it, you will love it. But if you definitely you will hate it.
That's exactly how people describe it. You either love it or you hate it. There's no in between.
All the
And
time.
the smell is so bad that you are not allowed to bring durians anywhere. You're not allowed to bring it in trains, because then this will happen. And you are not allowed to bring it in airports or basically public places with like a closed environment.
Where can you bring that flower?
Yeah. So you can often find this sign in public transport. Like there will be sign, no dogs, no durians.
Sorry,
you
we
know-
try to bring that up today.
The name of this fruit, are you familiar with that? It has been called the queen of fruits. And in fact, the Queen of England in the old days, she heard about this fruit and heard that it was the best fruit in the world. No, it's true. And she said that she wanted to taste it, but it's only like it only grows, I think, in parts pretty far away from England. So she said that whoever will bring her the fruit will be knighted and made sure. But because the travel time was so long that nobody was able to bring her that fruit without it going bad. Do you want to call bullshit?
Yes.
No, it's true.
So, is anyone familiar with
Oh, sure.
Malaysia?
So
Well-
when we ask people to mention a brand they knew from Malaysia,
Yes.
this is usually what people say.
Yes. So it was founded in 1937, and before their incident in 2014 with the two planes going missing, they were having previous issues, and in 2015 it was renationalized.
They're now going through like a whole
Yeah.
brand.
It is still state-owned, right?
Yeah, it was state-owned in the beginning, and it was like,
Oh, okay, cool.
made available for the public, and they had to renationalize the company in 2015.
Yeah.
But can you mention somebody famous from Malaysia?
A brand or a person that you know besides the airline. Anyone?
Crystal.
Are you familiar with Jimmy
Oh,
Choo.
Jimmy Choo, yeah.
The brand is actually British, but Jimmy Choo, the man himself, is Malaysian. He was supposed to be called Jimmy Chow, but they misspelled his name on
On
the birth
his birth
certificate as Jimmy Choo. So that's why his name is Jimmy Choo.
I have a question. What is renationalized? What does that mean?
It is like owned by the government.
So
And-
at the beginning it wasn't.
It was when
And
it
then
was
yes.
funded, it was owned by the government.
Mhm.
Then it went public,
And now it's
but
back
now
to-
it has been
Oh, okay.
renationalized because of their financial troubles.
Oh, okay.
Maybank. Is anyone familiar with Maybank? This is the biggest company in Malaysia, and in fact, it is probably one of the biggest companies in the world. It has, I think, 35,000 employees. It has branches in over 20 countries, most of them in Asia, and especially in Malaysia. So it's by far like the biggest employer there, and they do a lot of advertisements, and I mean a lot. And this is a campaign that they have been doing now. It's star in your own ad and win up to 5,000 RM, which is the currency in Malaysia. So they
And-
have been
Sorry to interrupt, but just for comparison, so one, how do you pronounce it? Yes. So one ratong is 25 cents US. So you can do a little bit of calculations about prices.
So yes, they are now. I think this campaign just finished actually. So they said they were fed up with including strangers and models in the advertising campaigns. So they wanted their customers to create their own ads and come up with like different slogans, and they could win some money because of it. And they also do a lot of out-of-home advertisement, especially. They will like cover taxis in ads, buses, public transports, a lot of billboards as well as traditional media ads in papers and TV. And another famous company in Malaysia is, it's Petronas. This is an oil company from Malaysia, and it is also one of the biggest companies in the world with tens of thousands of employees. And you might be familiar with this building. It's called the Petronas Towers, and we're going to talk about it a bit more later. But Petronas is also huge in the advertising market in Malaysia, and we're going to show you a small example. They do this, I think, for every Chinese New Year. They will post a new ad that is often like more like a short movie rather than advertisement. It's like 5-6 minutes long, and yeah, we can play like about a minute or so.
这是我妈第一次打我，可是我希望这一巴掌是真的，因为我做了一件该打的事。
好，起身去上学啦。快点吃啊！
不是因为我觉得穷很丢脸。
So this goes on for like 5 minutes, and all of the ads from Petronas are very, very emotional.
What? Oh.
Which one?
Super
No.
Why did he get slapped?
Yeah, explain it to us
Because-
now.
Is it really bad? Am I going to start crying again?
If you would watch the whole thing, probably yes.
Okay. Probably
So
not.
he was slapped because he was being super mean to his mom about how she was poor, and so like his family wasn't able to buy him nice presents. He had to ride his bike to school while the other kids get driven in cars. But then at the end, he realized that the most important thing in the world is the family. So it's like super emotional, and they show this for every Christmas, every Chinese New Year, they will bring out a new ad, and it's always like a short movie, and it has one thing in common with a lot of other advertisements from Malaysia, that it's very like high context. The ad has to be either very funny or super emotional. And as mentioned, the Petronas Towers, 452 meters high, used to be the highest building in the world for like a few years, but now it's the 8th tallest buildings in the world. And it took a few years to construct them, and I think they had 500 truckloads of earth that had to be removed from the site every night when they were digging the hole to put the foundations in. And it is named after one of Malaysia's favorite cellists, David Petronas. And we also have a short video just to show you how
I struggle with bipolar
high the
depression,
building is.
and it's hard.
The turn. He holds out his camera for a
Are you familiar with Felix
well
Baumgartner?
aware it could be
Can you
his
click on the
last.
settings to turn off annotation? Oh. Is he gonna die?
He's got
It's not a
7
suicide.
seconds to pull his chute.
Better not.
Did you drop that?
And he does, right on
Do you
time.
remember the guy that jumped from the spaceship, Red Bull?
Yeah.
That's it.
Dangerously close to the turn,
Oh god, he's sick.
Yeah.
but he quickly
He's like
steers himself away.
adrenaline junkie.
He used to be a base jumper. That
He's
is probably the
become
most
the
dangerous
first
sport in
person
the
to
world
feel
and
the
highly
thrill of
illegal.
parachuting from one
And
of the
right there
world's
he was setting
tallest
a new
buildings.
world record because it was the highest base jump that has ever
He
been
grabs up his chute
done at the time.
and is
So he had to like run away as soon as he landed because otherwise he would be arrested. But this record has now been beaten because they have higher buildings now. And he also missed another bullshit fact. Can you guess? Yes. The name of the building is of course after the company, Petronas. Because it's their headquarters and they build it. And I doubt there is a Malaysian cellist named David Petronas.
Yep.
Right, David Petronas.
But it is the 8th tallest in the world.
Yeah.
Very Malaysian name.
So this is the Penang Bridge,
That's-
which
Oh.
Oh, I don't know how many feet. It's like,
See how it feels.
1200.
and it's 13.7 kilometers, and it's the 3rd longest in Asia. So this is from iTunes, and here you can see the top singles that are popular now. And this was the American.
no, this is
No,
all
okay.
Malaysian.
And as you can see, there is a trend. Everything is K-pop, which is very popular in Asia. And here you can
There
see
she is.
you can see the top albums. Yes, we do have Adele, so you can see the Western influence on the Eastern world. Besides that, I mean, we have Coldplay, and of course, if Crystal was here, we have Justin Bieber.
Oh, Adele's there.
And then a lot of K-pop artists.
Yes, a lot of K-pop artists because of the influence from neighboring countries. So we have a guest.
Awesome country.
So today we have Crystal from Malaysia, and she's going to tell you a little bit about her country. So what is one thing or a few things that you like most about Malaysia?
I like the food in Malaysia. We have the best food, and you guys should come and try it.
Can you elaborate?
So we have like Malay. We have 3 big races. So we have Malay food, Chinese food, and Indian food. And I've tried all. Like we have specifically, best food from each culture. So it's really hard to find one of my favorite food, but every food is nice. Like every.
So what about a place? What is the first place that we should eat when we come to Malaysia? What are your favorite places?
It depends on the food. Like, there's like, say, this food called nasi lemak. If you want to eat the best nasi lemak, there's a couple restaurants that has the best nasi lemak, so you just have to go for one. Like just go to that. There's no I don't remember the name right now because there's so many good restaurants that have the best nasi lemak.
What is one thing you don't like about Malaysia?
I don't like the weather in Malaysia because it's really, really hot. We have whole year summer, so that's the thing I don't like about Malaysia.
And what are some things that you like to visit?
Drugs are illegal. In Malaysia, if you get arrested, you get death penalty. That's one thing that's really strict. Second would be possession of pornographic material, anything. It's illegal.
Thank you so much for being with us, and we'll see you in Malaysia.
Come to Malaysia.
Don't watch porn.
So if you go to Malaysia, leave your drugs and porn behind.
Yes. Because a lot of the population is Muslim, that's why these things are illegal. Hi everyone, so today we have So here we have the Hofstad model. I'm briefly going to talk about. As you can see, power distance in Malaysia versus the United States. It's very big in Malaysia, and then individualism in the United States, it's higher than in Malaysia because of cultural customs here. Masculinity is pretty much the same, but in the United States it's higher. And then certainty avoidance, it's about the same, but again, as I've mentioned, these things go back to the East and the West. And this is
an ad from a company called Tesco in Malaysia, and before it was it.
Asia?
Yes.
And do you think it has, before was it, do you think the Western influence in Malaysia has made it such a way that this ad could also run here in the United States? Or do you think it's completely different? Completely different? Anyone think it's similar to different? Okay, let's see.
Learn the dance. Okay, everybody up.
So, can you
Did
see
you
that
learn the dance?
Tesco will do a similar ad here in the United States?
I'm sure they
No.
did.
They should.
They should, but
Of course they didn't.
Do you think more American ads should be like this?
Yeah,
No.
they should.
No? Why
people
not?
wouldn't take them
It was,
seriously.
it
They're
was a
being
little
annoyed.
ridiculous and
It's
perhaps
not ridiculous. it's just a
perceivably
matter
like
of
probably like if you aired it here in the US like that, you'd probably take offense to it.
Yeah.
But the dance routine is actually very catchy. Like there was a brand in the States that did something very similar, and it was I can't believe it's not butter, and it was very Broadway,
Also,
and I still remember
salad
this.
dressing. I think it was Wishbone. They had a lot of dancing, and Heinz, was it Heinz? With the fruits dancing.
I thought that commercial was celebrating more of the collectivist mentality. Like, I think that's why it was so different. Is that because American ads tend to they follow more individualism. Like, just from the Hofstad, you can tell it's the individualism in America is sky high, but like in Malaysia and most Asian countries, they have a collectivist mentality. So a dance routine that you learn and the collective staffing at the store doing a dance and enjoying the experience of the store, I really think that was very, very consistent with the Hofstad. So, yeah.
So here we have another brand, which is Hotlink.
It's like a mobile company.
Fungsi gambar dan video 10 kali lebih laju di aplikasi chat anda. Hotlink, awesome untuk telefon pintar.
So like we mentioned, like advertisements in Malaysia, they generally don't say much. They rely on just like showing things that like we might find weird, but it definitely works over there.
Does that have to do with like literacy maybe in Malaysia?
I'm not sure. I think it just said that because it's like high context countries that they rely a lot on like visuals. It might have absolutely have something to do with that.
I think it's effective. I mean, it's catchy, and everyone reacted to the previous one, and this one's pretty funny. So, and this is also their mascot, their logo. And we have another one, which
it's like show like 20-30 seconds of this.
Yo Malaysians, balik kita fungsi what fungsi what? One night in the morning, the day before the first day, Saturday time, together go sit down. I know you dancing right when I make my national tag. Eat it while it's hot, eat it while it's hot, eat it while it's hot. Cause my range is so fresh and my setup so fly. My $1 million hot gal make it rainbow.
Wait, we need to finish that.
They made like a whole music video.
It's 3 minutes long, and as you can see, it incorporates different aspects of their culture too. So
that's hilarious.
And connect them to the company. So a bit different from the traditional ads here in the United States.
So here we have a traditional chart about the advertising expenditure in Malaysia from 2008 to 2015 by median, and this is in $1 million. And as you can see, television is been on the rise, and so that's why they have a lot of commercials. And the second one, surprisingly, it's newspapers. Here, newspapers are more digital, but there they still advertise in newspapers. And the other one is radio, which radio is also the third most popular. But as you can see, magazines are pretty much non-existent.
So they don't use mobile phones or
Well, they do use a lot of mobile phones.
Yes.
But it seems that they are not using them. Like companies are not using the technology to get the customers, because you see digital, it's like growing very slowly. It was like almost non-existent in 2008, and it has been rising very slowly.
And then also outdoor, as you can see, that's.
I think that might be though because it's spending and not like usage. So maybe they use the same for newspaper and digital, but it's cheaper for digital, so it's not going to show there.
That might be.
That might be, but also advertising like this is based on how much what people use, so and how much viewership of television there is. So they would see that a lot of people view television, and of course they would advertise in TV.
Even still, the digital is still on the rise, and you'll see that on the next slide.
So here we have all of the digital, and as you can see, banner ads have been steadily growing throughout.
This is like a forecast.
Yeah, this is a forecast. But as you can see, from 2014, 2015, 2016, it's been a pretty steady growth. Also, the other one is search advertising, so like Google ads and things like that, and then social media advertising. And the next one is classifieds, which again goes back to newspapers and advertising there. The slowest one is video advertising, but they're forecasting that it will grow at the same rate that others do, but classifieds will go down. So probably in the expenditure, we'll see newspapers going down. And this is another brand. And we're going to watch a little advertising for Maxis. I don't know if anyone has heard of the brand name.
My name is Tim Sharp, and since I
Don't say. Come.
and since I arrived in Malaysia, I've been called all sorts of names.
Macam.
Oh, no, it's Tim. Hi, Subang?
Ya, Bang.
Oh, no, Subang.
Boleh, Bang.
Oh, no, Subang.
Ya, Bang.
大哥，乾水。What did you say?
Brothers, boiling water.
What's matcha?
Brother-in-law.
Bang?
Elder brother.
So you call strangers family?
Yes. If not, we all be strangers.
So I've started some name calling of my own. Ane, roti telur.
Nah, ini anak seorang ah.
Makcik, berapa ringgit?
RM2 sayang.
It's okay. They don't mind. Auntie, uncle, Dosan, we're family.
So this is something that you will notice if you will visit Malaysia. They will call everyone brother, sister, uncle, auntie. Like, so it's all like one big family, and this is can be confusing, I guess, for people listening for the first time, but apparently you'll get used to it very quickly. And terima kasih. It means thank you.
So, questions for the team?
Did you guys like the food? Was it good?
I have a question. Do you think that the use of newspapers is because a large portion of their population is older? So do you think, like older people are like, into physical papers? Like, could that be?
I would believe so.
Sounds plausible.
Yes.
Any other questions? What do you think might be reasons for the digital numbers being quite untypical compared to many other countries? And then I want to hear it from the audience. What do you guys think could be contributors? If you look at other, especially East Asian countries, so South Korea, you look at Singapore.
I think like the factor is what I said before, like it's cheaper. That's why it's not showing there.
You guys have some information about that? Would actually, my question is, what's the cost of monthly, actually broadband penetration?
We don't have information on the cost, but I did find out that people use a lot of mobile phones in Malaysia as well as in the neighboring countries. So it's surprising that companies are not using that such technology to get that.
Yeah, you saw Hotlink. I mean, they're if you go on their YouTube channel, they have so many advertisements, and they're constantly advertising. So people do use mobile phones.
Or might there be other behavioral aspects? Because when you look at the charts, it's like US or many other Western countries in the 70s, 80s, just in terms of penetration. I mean, the fact that you can reach the majority, based on your chart, probably 80% of the population with radio and television. With newspaper and television, which is people with longing for these beautiful old days in the United States.
The reason for the mobile might not be entering in there might be because people don't use mobile or expect mobile for ads. Because in a lot of places, you see ads on your phone and it gets annoying. So it might just be that culturally, it's not something they would expect or look for. And it's kind of one of those things where if a company were to advertise in certain spots, that's not appropriate to advertise, or you're kind of like a dick if you advertise in that spot, because they might use it for certain things and might not appreciate that sort of invasion.
What maybe it's a connectivity issue because the country is two islands separated. So
Well, it's yes, it is two islands, and on the like it's separated by two parts, and the island, the big island Borneo, that's mostly rainforest. So like we don't have a lot of people living there. Like the majority of the population live in Kuala Lumpur and I think a couple of other big cities. So like on the Borneo island, there's very few people that actually live there. It's just covered with rainforest.
cell reception, digital reception might not be feasible for certain areas.
Yeah, but like I said, majority of the people still live in like big cities. Ruchi?
I was thinking, this is just like what I probably think could be one of the reasons that the mobile thing is not that high. Maybe most of the population uses it just as a tool to make calls, I guess. Because even in India, I know that's a thing. Like everyone has a phone, but not everyone uses it to like do more than a call. Also, could be most of the population is not in just the big cities. Could also be a possibility.
Maybe they're now like starting to advertise a lot, especially the mobile companies, that you can use your phone to access online sites. So it might be that people aren't like used to it yet. So they're trying to get that growing.
From several presentations we had on Asia, and even when the professor in Japan, I don't remember, but it just seems like everything is kind of out of the home and kind of outside, and it seems maybe that they don't do it on the phone because people are more outside and more not connected to their phone and connected to what's happening outside.
Very interesting cultural
It's a culture thing. Like you shouldn't use your phone all the time. Like you have to keep it down.
Like the big companies, for example, Maybank, they use a lot of out-of-home advertisements. They like
I
I
was
said, like
thinking YouTube,
they
last time we saw they had an out-of-home advertising, and it's completely, we wouldn't see it here, for example.
Talking about YouTube, did you find anything about YouTube membership or views as well as Facebook?
No, we didn't look at it, but
Facebook would be an interesting comparison, especially when
but
you
on
find
YouTube, like all the Malaysian companies, like the big ones, they have very active YouTube accounts.
Yeah,
Like super
especially
active.
Hotlink. Hotlink even encourages, their subscribers to put content, and they have special places for user-generated content. So they're very big into interacting with their users, and they have different sections, and they post pretty much every day. So they're very active with that.
Last question: why would to come actually for the audience, brands like Maybank and Petronas be interested in marketing their services on a global level? Not sure if you guys are familiar with Petronas does, but they're a major sponsor of Formula One, actually the Mercedes team, and what might be a reason for doing that if you're
Global exposure.
Any thoughts? Especially bank, Malaysian bank. That's, I want to gauge a little bit more. You guys are experts.
I'm not sure I understand that.
Why would we saw a number of different brands today, from Tesco, which is a British company in the market. We saw Maxis, Hotlink, local companies advertising locally. And they also mentioned Maybank, and I guess this was not a Bang, and Petronas was not a Bang either. So these are real brands that are working at an international level. They're doing advertising internationally. So they're trying to get exposure on a global market. And I'm asking what might be reasons for that, especially for those two companies which have been presented compared to some of the others.
Is it because maybe the population is also very diversified, and they come in, but they can also go from outside? I see that with the last advertising that they showed, probably, so that wouldn't make sense for them because they're so big to go internationally too.
I mean, we have British companies, they're television, the phone companies, Vodafone, Yellow, Orange, major players in the international market. So I didn't see that, or at least you didn't mention it for marketing. But specifically with Petronas. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the advertising budget of Petronas, but
like both of these companies have global presence, and I think both Maybank and Petronas are on the Forbes 500 list, so it's one of the biggest companies in the world. And yeah, like you said, they have a Formula One racetrack in Malaysia, and Petronas is one of the biggest sponsors, and it's a very high presence.
Yeah. And they get so much exposure because, you know, Formula One, they have different races in different countries. So having that logo on the cars, I mean, you know, driving advertising, and they can afford that.
These are two export markets. So petrol is an international commodity. In order to really get to sell, they probably have much more production compared to what they can use inside the country. There are international players as well within the oil business, from Venezuela to US or to Arab nations, and that's a major reason to really get a presence internationally. Banking, international as well, so especially if there's international trade, a lot of oil is being purchased, and banking is an international commodity where they can really gain from international investments. But, well done. How did you like the mistakes that were incorporated?